And my takeaway from over the weekend and watching all the great basketball that we saw take place in both sides of the brackets and both tournaments is the one thing that is very obvious to me as we get things started here on a Monday. It feels like Cinderella is dead. That team, well, not the actual fictional character, but the comparison to
what about
college.
The little mice?
Yeah, well, they're fine.
Okay.
Well, Gus, he's okay.
Yeah. What about Gus?
I would say the one thing to me is it is very obvious as of late in the last 2 years that when you get to the round of 16 and beyond in the NCAA tournament, you are dealing with teams that are the major conference teams, the blue bloods, the best of college basketball advancing on. And what we used to kind of celebrate with the NCAA tournament was all of those magical runs. I remember Valparaiso back in the day, right? Getting there on a buzzer beater and then getting to the Sweet 16. And teams like that, it feels as if, even though it's only recent history, the last 2 seasons are the only 2 times in college basketball history that no mid-major made the Sweet 16. The last 2 seasons, all 16 teams that got to the round of 16, they're all from major conferences. To me, it feels like it's more impactful than just 2 years, but it does feel like we have entered in a new landscape of college basketball where the tournament, first weekend, it's cute if you get a win or two from someone you didn't expect. But for the most part, the teams that are advancing to the next weekend, so next week, Sweet 16 and Elite 8, you're looking at teams that are major conference players.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think you still got the theater of the tournament. And you and I remember, and, everybody listening still remembers the Loyola getting as far as they did and Northern Iowa getting as far as they did and, Butler making it to a national championship game. And those were fun. Like those were fun runs. But then I look at the matchups for this coming week, for Thursday and for Friday. And I'm looking at Texas and Purdue. And Texas is an 11 seed. Texas is still a big program. And
okay.
They're an 11. They are an 11 seed.
Well, I heard them on one of the various halftime shows throughout the tournament talking about the fact that it's they're an 11 seed. But have you seen their sports department?
I understand that.
The amount of money coming into Texas for Texas basketball.
They're still an 11. I know they're not a mid-major, but they're an 11 seed.
Okay, but it's Texas.
Okay, Iowa's a 9.
What are you talking about?
Iowa's a 9 seed. They knocked off a 1 seed yesterday. It was a great game. They knocked off a 1 seed. So they're not a Cinderella team, but you're right. You're not High Point beat Wisconsin,
which was cute.
It was
cute.
Fun. It was a fun game.
I like that story.
But then they got crushed.
Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Dead.
Exactly. So you get your moments early in the tournament. The first couple days, Thursday, Friday, but then NIL, and it's very easy to blame NIL, but that's what it is, because you don't get players that would have stayed at these schools for 3 or 4 years where then they can come back and develop within a program, because if you get a freshman that's at a school or a sophomore that's at a school, the second they're good, they get plucked to a better team.
Yep.
Because of NIL. Kentucky is out with a $22 million roster. And they're out. And when you look at the matchups for this coming week, who is going to complain about Texas and Purdue, Iowa, Nebraska, Arkansas, Arizona? How about this? St. John's and Duke, Michigan State and UConn, Tennessee and Iowa State, Alabama, Michigan. No one is going to complain about those games, because those are the elite of the elite. No one is going to say, well, man, I really wish High Point would have made it further. I really wish there was a Cinderella story, because the games are going to be better because of this. I think they are.
Have all of the games been better?
No, I'm saying the games now.
There's been a lot of blowouts.
The games now are going to be better. I mean, look, Michigan's a 10.5-point favorite because one of Alabama's players, had a lot of weed on him.
Describe to us in the listening audience what a lot of weed is.
In some places, Chris,
yeah,
2.1 pounds of marijuana is considered personal use.
It's a lot.
It's considered personal use. In Alabama, it's not.
It's you're moving product.
It's
at that
not.
Point. Yeah, you're moving a lot of product.
And cash is $400. Come on, guys. There's got when you
was
say
the last time you had $400 cash on you?
oh, come on,
Actual cash.
What day is it?
Today is Monday.
Like 3 days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. You're
Just
walking around
saying,
with,
man. You
with
never know
cash.
when you're gonna have to go to the dispensary.
Okay,
all right. And clearly, Aiden Holloway was.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
My point is this.
Weed expert Abdalla here on the show.
My point is this. If you're going to do a drug bust and you're going to say he was found with 2 pounds of marijuana and cash, that cash needs to be substantial, not just $400.
Yeah, I'm thinking like $100,000.
Yeah, right? When you say cash, I'm talking like grands of money. Like $400 cash could literally be 4 bills. Like it'd be 4 single bills.
Yeah. I mean, most people, I would assume, right now, not a lot of people are carrying around cash.
No. I was kidding. I wasn't walking around with $400 a couple days ago.
Oh, geez.
But my point is that
we've already started today's show with you lying to the audience.
No, my point is that $400. When you say he's got 2 pounds of weed and cash, you're thinking that the dude's got a stack of money, or like a bag with a dollar sign on it,
yeah.
like he just robbed a bank.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something like out of Breaking Bad.
Exactly.
Right, where he has a storage locker of bills stacked up.
Not $400.
Not $400.
Which
what?
could be like a few 20s and a couple $100 bills.
Let me also make sure that people understand. To me, $400 is a lot of money.
It is. Oh, I'm not saying it's not.
You're right. When
I'm
you
not
hear
saying
about
it's not.
like drug busts,
yeah.
usually it's like $20K.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a substantial amount of money.
Because I just heard cash and I'm like, all right, a lot of money. And then I read the story and it's like $400. I'm like, guys, come on.
$400?
Like, can we just say he was found with a lot of weed and keep the cash out of it? It just makes it sound bad when you say it was only $400.
I want to hear from you today, though, on the call or text line at 310-840-4910. Do you think it's good for the tournament that we now are getting this result? That Cinderella is dead. The teams, the mid-majors that you used to root for to then get up against those big dogs in the NCAA tournament, essentially they're all wiped out in the first two rounds. That's it. And to Abdalla's credit, and to point it out that like there are teams from the big major conferences that are not seeded highly that are getting through the tournament. You know, you mentioned a team like Texas. Iowa's a team that you could point out that wasn't expected to get to this point. And I think that's where this entire conversation of college basketball and where it's at now is so everyone there's just a flow of like nothing is substantial for a long amount of time. Like you get guys who enter the portal. You get a guy who plays well for a mid-major. That next season, he's playing for a Big 10 or a Big 12 team. And that's just the way it is in college basketball now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we could point to one specific reason to why this is our outcome in college basketball. I don't feel like I like it. I feel like the way it used to be, and I hate being just the guy that wants to say the way it used to be was better. But if this is the case, like, did you really get the reward of the chaos that we're supposed to get at the start of the NCAA tournament? Did you really get that chaos on the opening weekend? And on Thursday and Friday, I don't really think you did. You got some buzzer beaters Saturday and Sunday. But besides, like, you got one.
You got, I think.
And you had a game on Friday where you had a buzzer beater that sent it to overtime, and then Kentucky eventually won the game.
I think that we overinflate the buzzer beater. I think that we actually, if you look at it, we don't get as many as you think that we do. I think we only get 1 or 2 a weekend, if that. And the fact that we got 1 was good. I think the fact that you had High Point beating Wisconsin was good. I think the fact that you had the way the Iowa game ended was really good. I think the way the St. John's game ended was really good. That's a great way to end that game. And I think that now the way that you've got this next weekend setting up, and specifically Thursday's game between Iowa and Nebraska, I think the winner of that game will become America's team, because you have Iowa, who took down Florida yesterday, and then you have Nebraska, who has never won a tournament game before, who has now won 2 games And if they beat Iowa, they're a 1.5 point favorite right now on DraftKings. If they beat Iowa, they've now won 3 games in a row after never winning a single game in the tournament. They now become America's team. You know what I mean? Like if you beat a 1 seed, you're automatically, everyone kind of falls in love with you as long as you didn't go to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that now the winner of this specific game, if you don't have an allegiance to another school, this now becomes your team moving forward. And I think that, like we talked about it, the way that this bracket kind of shakes out in the South, we, in our bracket here, that's why we didn't have Florida coming out of this region. You and I have Nebraska beating Florida, and it just so happened that Iowa took care of business for us.
Yeah, I believe it was Jordan Cornette who told us last week on the show. He thought that Florida was a flimsy number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us the warning early that, hey, it could be any team that's not Florida getting out of that region to advance to the Final Four, so out of the South. And right now, Houston's looked really good. Illinois looked really good.
Yeah.
Nebraska survives a buzzer beater. That ball was halfway down.
That ball was almost in.
And I feel like if people remember, the NCAA, they changed the basketball in recent years, and it seems to be bouncier. And do you also know with the NCAA tournament, they make sure that they use a orange basketball? Are you aware that
as opposed to aren't all basketballs orange?
Yeah, but they're different shades. Like the NBA ball is a little darker.
It's a little more brown.
It's a little
brownish
orange.
Yeah, it's like a Texas orange.
Kind of looks like it's been used,
Yeah.
which is the way you want to play.
Yes, yeah.
With a basketball.
Yeah.
And the NCAA tournament, they insist on it being like bright orange because they think it looks better for the broadcast.
Okay.
So it was like. It did seem like that when that ball almost went in was Vandy that almost hit that shot at the end. Like a normal basketball doesn't bounce off the rim 8 times before flying out.
No.
The way it did. It was like, oh, that's a college ball. That's what you get.
Yeah.
So the NCAA tournament, it was exciting. We have the Sweet 16. You can find all of our great coverage on the Westwood One Sports app. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this upcoming weekend, we will have all of the games for you right there on the Westwood One Sports app. Abdalla, is there a team that impressed you the most to get to the Sweet 16 to this point? The teams that have won, I think Michigan, it seems like they have had a cakewalk to this point. Arizona, it got a little tight towards the end last night in their contest to advance against Utah State, but they took care of business. Is there a team that has stood out? Obviously, Texas winning 3 games in essentially 4 days to get to the Sweet 16 is a big deal. Is there someone that jumps out at you that has been impressive to get to the Sweet 16?
I think a lot of the conversation, and I know that they were the number 1 ranked team and the number 1 seeded team overall, even of the number 1s. People talked about the way that Duke going in as an injured team wouldn't be able to handle, if they got to, no matter who won the Ohio State TCU game, that 8-9 matchup, that either team would be able to give them a little bit of a run. And they just walked TCU 81-58. And now they match up against St. John's, and St. John's had a pretty, they had to hit that game winner against Kansas to move on. And now, you hear that Foster might be back for Duke coming back. There's a chance he might play. So I think Duke really overcame those injuries. And we talked about how, and basically whether it was Jordan Cornette, whether it was Fran Fraschilla, whoever we talked to, Josh Graham said that going in, Duke with their injuries might be a team that just might be too injured going into this tournament, not against Siena, but maybe against Ohio State or TCU, and beating a team by over 20 points to move on to the Sweet 16. I know it's a 1 seed, and I know that's just an easy thing to say, but I was really impressed by the way they've overcome their injuries and looked that impressive going in, because it's easy. I could have said, like Michigan, but like you said, it's been a cakewalk for them. Yeah. And they're already a 10.5 point favorite against Alabama, too. So I expect them to walk into the Elite 8 as well. So we'll see what they do against, the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State should they beat Alabama. I think Houston's going to have a tough time against Illinois, but I really think it's Duke overcoming these injuries so far.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Here on the show, each and every day, Bleck and Abdalla, Laura and Raj produce the show, and we have been submitting a bracket challenge here on the show against each other. And we call this Beat the Raj.
Beat the Raj.
Now, Raj is out this week. He's on vacation. Stu Kovacs is filling in for Raj. And we need to update our brackets after the first 2 rounds of the tournament. All right, Abdalla, it's you, me, Laura, and a cast of millions submitting our bracket to take on Raj to beat the Raj. And here's what we have after the first 2 rounds of the tournament. So Bleck and Abdalla on our bracket against Raj, we got 27 wins in the first round. 27 wins in the first round.
We're good.
We then finish the weekend heading towards the Sweet 16. We have 40 wins total.
Wow.
And out of that, we have 15 of our 16 Sweet 16s still standing.
Oof.
So how about that? The Bleck and Abdalla bracket. Yes. Laura, yes. Good job. Good job.
Can I count real quick how many of our...
The Raj.
Yes.
Let me see. Let's see. We have Duke is still in, Michigan State still in, Nebraska still in, Houston still in.
15 of 16.
Arizona still in, Purdue still in, Michigan and Iowa State. All of our Elite 8. That's 8 of 8.
Yep.
All of our Elite 8 are still in.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Michigan State, Houston, Arizona, Michigan. All
4.
of our 4. That's
Final
4 out of 4. Okay. Our
We're
championship game is Houston and Arizona. They're both still in. Okay.
Feel good.
And our champion of Arizona still in. Okay, we're good. We're money.
All right,
money.
so that's the Bleck and Abdalla bracket. Here is Raj's bracket, Beat the Raj. So in the first round, Raj had 24 correct wins. So after the first round, we were up 3.
Okay.
In the second round, to get to the Sweet 16, the total that Raj has is 34. We're at 40. Raj is at 34.
Wow.
And quite honestly, Raj is in. No,
They're booing Raj.
Here's the situation that Raj has before him. He has 10 of 16 teams left in the Sweet 16.
Oh, Raj.
He also has Virginia getting to the championship game.
Oh, no.
And Virginia is knocked out. In fact, his Midwest bracket is completely busted because he had in the Elite 8 Texas Tech facing off against Virginia.
Wow.
And both of those teams are knocked out.
Wow.
He's definitely going to be, his hopes to beat Bleck and Abdalla will be if Nebraska can get to the Final Four and if Duke can win the championship. That's what Raj has as far as trying to compete with Bleck and Abdalla for Beat the Raj. So there you go.
Beat the Raj.
You know, it's
pretty
early.
good.
It's early.
15 of 16 is pretty good. Nice job.
It's early. It's early.
It is early.
It's early. But I think it might be safe to say we've beaten the Raj.
Well, not yet. Not yet.
Beat the Raj.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying someone really wanted to take BYU.
No, I know. If I didn't persuade you to put BYU in the Sweet 16, we would have 16 of 16 left standing. Although, who would have replaced them? I don't think we would have had Texas.
No, we would have taken Gonzaga. Yeah.
So we would have gone 15 of 16 either way.
We would have